Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Here we are again in this cozy cafe in central Moscow, in the beautiful area of the Clear Ponds. And this cafe is called Ex Libris, so my story about books fits the situation entirely. This cafe is part of the Turgenev library, so it's not just a cafe, but a cultural center. I would like to start today with some amendments. When you write a text, and then you can always reread it and then correct your mistakes. When you do a video, you cannot correct yourself. So, what did I miss yesterday? Of course, Thomas von Bremsen is not a comic writer, as I said, but a famous comic actor. And everybody in Scandinavia knows him. And when I ask a Norwegian or a Swedish person, do you know Thomas von Bremsen? And they say, how can you not know him? And then I ask, do you like him? How can you not like him? So Thomas is my relative in the Swedish line, and the von Bremsen family, von Bremsen clan, goes back to the 11th century, so probably I will need to make a special video clip about my family, but today I would like to continue with my books. Also, I showed you this story in Passport magazine, and of course this painting is not Rembrandt, but Rubens. You know, typical Rubens, Sosky, but this is it. Also, when I was telling you about Naipaul, I said that he went to Cambridge because I was talking about Cambridge and my stay there. But of course, he got his education at Oxford. And also, I forgot to tell you that the other story by Naipaul that I translated had. It is in the book All Right. It's only this B. Wordsworth story which was much talked about and so on. All right. So, what else would I like to tell you? That handwritten book of mine. Remember, I showed you yesterday. And finally, since I started working with that publisher, and then finally I published it in another publishing house, this book, handwritten, with the essay from Joseph Brodsky. But I would like to thank my first publisher, Umut Kemilbekova, and show you a little present that she gave me. She's a talented poet, and she published this book of her poetry, which is also quite unique. This, a miniature with drawings, and it's called The Silk Way, or The Silky Way. You know, that trading way to the east, and this kind of a link between Europe and the east. So her name is Umut Kemilbekova, and so she gave me this little book, and I quite adore it, and I keep it, and I treasure it very, very much. So the next book I told you would be with a letter from Jacques Chirac, and it will be the same A4, but not in the horizontal way, but in the vertical way, like this. And this idea came to me from Robert's Blossom. I worked with the company of Peter Brook at the Taganka Theatre, where they were playing Chekhov, The Cherry Orchard, and Robert Blossom was one of the actors, so he gave me this book. And actually, I'm going to show you not only my own books, but the beautiful books given to me by other people, outstanding people. So also, yesterday I also showed you this book and said that everybody knows the author, but I didn't mention her name. And her name is Penelope Lively. She's really very well known in England. And so here are two novels. I translated Stitch in Time. The other lady translated The Ghost of Thomas Campion. But Penelope Lively is an outstanding author, has won many book awards. And so this is this book now. I'm happy to name her. Also, I was missing some names. I gave you the names of the director of the Von Tapian Museum, the sale and the person who's helping with exhibitions, but I've missed a very important name, Alfonso Caputo. He is the director of this Italian beautiful festival, Venti per Trenta, and this year I'm participating with Venti per Trenta for the third time. Last year I got into the finals, and my works were exhibited, not those that participated in the festival, I have to say. Other ones, they participated, not participated, but they were displayed in Palazzo Bonfrancesco. In the Medak Museum was also a very beautiful exhibition of the finalists. So this year I aspire to win the contest again, but the works are very, very good. 65 countries, many artists, so it will be really difficult. But I hope. And then I mentioned, when I was showing you my works, I mentioned the Universal Brush Society, but I also need to mention the person who is running all these exhibitions and contests, Patrizia Gallo. Soon we shall get our UNESCO certificates because in the contest Master Brush Excellence, I won a special mention, and then I participated also in the other exhibition, Both Worlds. So, enough for the mistakes, and now something new. If you remember, yesterday, no, it was the day before yesterday, the 1st of November, today is the 3rd, I told you about David Buxton, that architect from Cambridge, and how he took me to Ely. He also took me to Norwich, and here is a book that he gave me about the Norwich Cathedral. It's published beautifully. You see, it has the layout of the cathedral, just a view from the bird's side, and the history of the cathedral. You know, the cathedral is really beautiful. You see that they were using these boats in those times. And how the cathedral was being built, see, and all that day was beautiful when he took me there. I suppose we went by train through the fens that were going on and on and on, and I really saw some of the English countryside. I haven't taken out this book for a long time because I stayed in England back in 1989, so over 30 years ago, and it was particularly pleasant for me to get this book out and to look at the beautiful pictures. Also, in England, I was buying what I could, and in one of the shops I bought this picture and also another one of the king. And the nanny of the nurses said, you know what I thought? This is you and your brother. I don't know where the king is, but I'm still here. So I love this beautiful girl. And also what is very dear to my heart is letters. And, you know, letters from my friends from abroad. And for example, this is a beautiful postcard from David Buxton, and he sent me many postcards, and then here are some more. I wrote to him about the silver age of the Russian art, and it came to him as kind of a surprise, and I wonder how we don't know much about each other countries. And then he wrote to me that they knew about the terrible famine of the 1920s. They knew about both revolutions of 1905 and 1917 and all those changes, but they didn't know that at that period, the first quarter of the 20th century, the Russian art flourished. So that was new to him, and I was very happy to be a kind of a Kulturträger, which I've been doing actually all my life. Also in London, I've bought this picture beautiful picture of the Thames, the bridge, and a famous prison. Okay, the tower and the Tower Bridge. Yes, a miniature. So I still keep it. And when I was telling you about my interest in the arts, which came much earlier than I started photographing, I was actually really indulging in medieval art, in things like this. And I was buying a lot of art albums from every exhibition at every museum, and I have quite a collection at home. I found out a very interesting phenomenon for myself, since I saw many works of art as reproductions, and then in the original, I came to the conclusion that some works of art are absolutely unreproducible. Well, for example, William Blake, who I love, and I expected so much from the originals. And when I went in England, when I went to the Tate on my last day in London, I realized that they actually equal the reproduction. So the reproduction gives you a full impression of the painting, while, say, Rembrandt, when I went to the private wing of the Buckingham Palace, and I saw Rembrandt, Lady with a Fan, I was just astounded, because, you know, hair is hair, skin is skin, and, you know, the lace comes out and all this fabric, so it's just miraculous. And you stand in front of this picture and you think, how could he really do it? You can see life itself and not a work of art. And the same was true, surprisingly so, about Picasso. So I kind of had an impression that Picasso was a little bit mocking mankind with his, you know, doodles and things like that. But when I was in Malaga and I went to his museum, there are two of them, his house museum and the other one, and it was the first time when I left the museum and I didn't want to stop at the bookshop, because what I saw in the original was absolutely, you know, nothing could stand a candle to it, no reproduction. And I wanted to keep that impression, and that's why I just went past that bookshop, and then I wrote a story to Passport magazine about the unreproducibility of art. So it was Picasso who gave me that feeling. Also, talking about London, I should mention that Lady North invited me. Lady North was doing PR for the royal family. She invited me to a tennis tournament, a fun tennis tournament, the forerunner of Wimbledon, in the presence of Princess Diana. So this is a magazine published in Russia, but it's a very nice magazine. So I sat across from Princess Diana, and she was very, very beautiful, and there was a tint of tragedy about that beauty. I had a feeling that she was not entirely happy, but who knows, that was just my own impression. Also, in this book, I found an interesting thing, a story about a lady who wrote the textbooks of English for Russian students. Her name was Natalia Bonk. Name was and is, but she's an old lady, and I don't want to think about people that they are gone. I hope that they are someplace nice, someplace blissful. But anyway, she wrote the textbook, which was one of my first textbooks when I was getting ready for the Institute of Foreign Languages. And so there she is, together with the royal family, with Princess Diana, and this is all very nice. And here is another important person, writer, who wrote all these stories about Winnie the Pooh, although he also wrote novels and plays, but Winnie the Pooh you know, won him world fame. He wrote those fairy tales for his son. So his name is Alan Milne. That is his portrait, beautiful portrait. So, anyway, we were talking about this book on ancient Egypt, and I also forgot to mention my editor in the Russian publication. It was, so the name of the Russian publisher was Nikolai Andreevich Naumenko. So I worked with him. I also had to hire 2 Egyptologists, because in Russian Egyptology, you know, you never know how it is called. For example, a play, which in normal Russian is pyesa, and in Egyptology it is mysteria, I don't know. So, and then he paid me extra because I paid those 2 people, first the girl, and then that was not enough, and then there was another very famous Egyptologist, Andrei Chagadayev. So that takes care of this book. And of course I was so fascinated with ancient Egypt, and I studied the subject as much as I could, because you can spend your lifetime studying Egyptology. So I even printed this book of Egyptian hieroglyphs. I never learned them properly, but at least I just had a look at them. And that was very interesting, and my interest of course started much earlier, but then there was an urge inside me, and I realized that I had to go to Egypt for sure. And my wish came true in 1906, and since that time I've been to Egypt 9 times. So I saw the pyramids and Karnak and Luxor, and took a lot of pictures there. And also I was amazed, yes, this is my favorite colonnade. Also I was amazed to see those steps in the pyramids, and then I remembered we had an album at home published during the Soviet times, and it showed those steps in black and white very, very clearly, and then I recollected that album, and Egypt is one of my most beloved countries, as well as Koktebel. Okay, and since we were talking about translations, I found a very, very old book at home, which is called The Right of the Author for the Translation. And it was published over 100 years ago. You see on this thin paper, also has some table, some table here, and so this could really be considered as a rare book, a vintage book. So the copyright, the question of the copyright was acute and important even over 100 years ago. Thank you.